Few have the poise and the stunning beauty of Angelina Jolie. The Oscar-winning actress is globally renowned for her off-screen romances and wild girl image. She is a woman on a mission.
I've been guilty of in my life working and working nonstop and trying to figure out when the next job is and being in the race for getting that role or getting this thing or how did that go this weekend, and then you suddenly stop and think, why don't I just go away somewhere for a month and
Jolie has already lived a life that few could rival. She is the third actress in history to earn $20 million for a single film. A priority for her and partner Brad Pitt is finding a balance between career and family.
Being a working mom it's difficult, but I feel that I'm very different from, I'm very, very fortunate that I get to, a lot of working moms don't get to see their kid all, they're away from their child all day long. My son is on set with me and he travels with me every day. And
there is so much more to this working mum than meets the eye. She became personally aware of worldwide humanitarian crises whilst filming Tomb Raider in poverty-stricken Cambodia. Deeply affected by what she saw, Jolie then turned to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees for more information. In 2001, Jolie went on her first field visit to Sierra Leone and Tanzania. She later expressed her shock at what she had witnessed and insisted on covering all costs related to her missions. Angelina became a Goodwill Ambassador for the UNHCR and has continued her good work in more than 20 countries around the world, highlighting the plights of millions of uprooted people and advocating for their protection.
But I do know this. No mother who had her children killed in front of her. No young girl sold into slavery. No boy kidnapped and forced to be a child soldier. And no young girl like the 3-year-old I met in Sierra Leone who had her limbs cut off should be expected to simply forget. No one should have to choose between peace or justice.
Jolie has received numerous awards for her humanitarian work ranging from the United Nations to governments around the world.
To receive an award for something that has been the greatest privilege in my life is quite a strange thing, but it means a lot.
But winning accolades or positive publicity does not fuel her true mission in life. She is driven by a genuine commitment to help those less fortunate. This quest runs skin deep in this remarkably loving individual. To truly appreciate the Angelina Jolie we know today, one must consider the journey that brought her here. Her father, Jon Voight, married Marceline Bertrand in 1971 and had 2 children, firstly son James, then Angelina in 1975. The couple separated the following year. Jon was an established movie star. When Angelina was just 2, he won the Best Actor Oscar for Coming Home. At the age of 7, Jolie made her screen debut in Lookin to Get Out. Her father co-wrote the screenplay and played the lead. Jolie later decided not to use Voight as a stage name, as she intended to establish her own identity as an actress. Angelina's relationship with him has been a strained one, at times not speaking for years. Jolie credits her mother rather than her famous father for encouraging her acting ambitions. In her early years, Marceline was an actress and a model. But after their separation in 1976, she abandoned her career to raise her children on a more than modest income. Sadly, at the age of 56, Marceline passed away with her son James and Angelina by her side. In 1996, Jolie married British actor Johnny Lee Miller, her co-star in the film Hackers. The couple separated the following year and subsequently divorced. Jolie later said that "I will always love him. We were simply too young." In 2000, she married bad boy actor-director Billy Bob Thornton. Uniquely, they took to wearing one another's blood in vials around their necks. The couple became renowned for regularly showing off their passionate affection in public, and Angelina's profile grew in the entertainment media. The couple were clearly in love.
the wedding rings if you can.
Her leading role in Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, propelled her into international stardom in 2001. Although highly regarded for her acting abilities, Jolie's films till then had often not appealed to a wide audience. She was highly praised for her physical performance, and the film collected $275 million US at the box office. The production also reunited Jolie with her father, who played the role of Lord Richard Croft in the movie. But their relationship deteriorated the following year, when Jon Voight claimed in the media that his daughter had serious mental problems. Jolie later stated that she no longer wished to pursue a relationship with her father. Following this public feud, they didn't speak for 8 years. The media were now more interested in Angelina than her famous husband, Billy Bob.
Give me the X factor about your wife. What is it?
I don't know what it is for anybody else.
What is it for
me,
you?
I don't know. It's just meant to be.
Now, did you ask Jon Voight for his daughter's hand in marriage? Did you do the old-fashioned thing?
No. I mean, we just did it, you know. I mean, they knew about it. They knew about it.
You have a wonderful relationship, it seems.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
What is special about her for you, Billy Bob?
She's honest. She's, my best friend. And she's the first person who ever really got me. She doesn't question me when I hang around the middle of the night, 4 o'clock in the morning, just walking around the house in circles.
Cambodia was one of the Tomb Raider's filming locations. It was here that Jolie witnessed the natural beauty, culture and poverty of a third world nation. This first-hand experience motivated her to visit refugee camps. The scale of Cambodia's humanitarian crisis was overwhelming for Jolie. It was a life-changing experience that sparked the humanitarian chapter of her life. In the following months, she returned to Cambodia to support the UNHCR staff that were removing landmines throughout the country. Jolie said she felt so strongly about the problem of landmines that she was considering giving up acting to devote her time to doing good in the field. Jolie was named a UNHCR Goodwill Ambassador in 2002 and then adopted her first child, 7-month-old Cambodian orphan Maddox Sivan. The United Nations Correspondents Association recognised her tireless work in 2003, where she was the first recipient of the Citizen of the World Award. To be honoured by these peers was an emotive experience for Angelina.
Thank you, Ruth. I am very emotional, and I'm probably going to cry right now. So I apologize ahead of time. I'm just, I wanted to just learn a few years ago, and I had learned so much about the UN, and I'd read so many amazing things that so many people in this room, the things that you write, and I felt not intelligent and not a part of that world, and I wanted so much to be allowed to learn. And when I read a lot, and I eventually called UNHCR because I couldn't believe that many people could be displaced, and I wanted to know what that meant and how that could happen. And that they, even though I was a crazy, strange actress, they kind of said, all right, we'll let you see, you know, I didn't want to get in the way, and I was just, I met these amazing people, and I was suddenly in an environment where journalists and war photographers and field officers are all working together to help other people. And I'd never seen that before in my life. And I was really just so inspired and so humbled that they let me just be there. And that's how I feel tonight. So I'm really just happy I'm so emotional. I'm just so happy to be a part of the UN and a part of this family of people that are doing good to just help other people, and that's what their focus is at the end of the day.
Angelina's humanitarian work was now her main priority, but her days on the red carpet were not behind her. She starred in the film Beyond Borders. The script of the movie dealing with humanitarian efforts in war-torn nations touched her deeply.
Yeah, I've taken many. I read the script 5 years ago, it was the first time I'd really read about aid workers and doctors and started to get involved in what was happening in the world. And when the film didn't go, I ended up traveling on my own, and I joined the UN, and my life just changed completely. In a really simple way, it just made me aware that I should educate myself. I should travel more. I shouldn't rely on just the front page of my local newspaper to tell me what's happening in the world, that there's obviously a lot that's not, that somebody else has chosen as my headline news or my evening news, that there's obviously, so we need to, each of us as individuals, kind of really, really care about, really invest time in learning about other peoples and other situations, and then figure out what each of us individually can do. Well, it's all different, but we can all do something.
Angelina has done a lot more than just something. For years, she has dedicated her life to help refugees that are forced to flee their homes to escape conflict, persecution, or even natural disasters. Darfur, a region in Sudan, struck her as the worst she had ever seen. It has been in a state of humanitarian emergency since 2003 due to the war with the Sudanese government. It was here that Angelina learnt firsthand of the horrors of war.
This officer explained to me that just yesterday another village was raided and destroyed. Yesterday. And hearing things like that, and I also heard stories from another person that there are cases of rape. I met with women who had been raped. And there was a recent story of a 12-year-old girl and her mother who had been gang raped. This was last week, apparently, but I believe it's very true. This was last week, and about 5 men were on each of these women. These events are, they're shocking and they're horrifying, and I think they show very clearly that there's not stability yet.
The conflict in Darfur has killed approximately 500,000 people and left 2.5 million citizens displaced. In a bid to win the world's attention on the disaster, Angelina threw her weight behind a documentary called Darfur Now. It is a story of hope in the midst of one of humanity's darkest tragedies. Jolie attended a private screening of the film at the start of a General Assembly of the United Nations.
Reason that this film is an important film, and you hope that all the people that are going to be there making the decisions and making the big speeches don't forget the importance of all the different elements that need to go into a decision for Darfur, and justice being one of them. So.
Jolie has been outspoken on the Darfur crisis for a long time, even criticising the Barack Obama administration for not doing enough to help the region. The documentary focuses on 6 individuals that are trying to make a difference, and the chief prosecutor at the International Crime Court in The Hague.
And I think this film is a great example of a film that can make a difference. I think Mr. Ocampo, the prosecutor, is an amazing man, and I think he's one that we should be paying attention to, and I certainly look for any time he is speaking and listen to his words, and I do believe it is so important not to forget justice and our commitment to justice, and to follow through at this time when decisions are being made about Darfur.
Angelina cleverly uses her global profile to generate support for causes that genuinely don't appear in the mainstream media.
On our own, human rights activists can get, certainly the sort of hardcore committed people who really do care about these issues and will do something about it. But for the vast majority of people in this country, they simply aren't getting news to know, and to just simply raise their awareness about what's going on. So people like Don Cheadle and George Clooney and Angelina Jolie, by putting their own, as Don says, refracting their light towards the people that are in these forgotten places, we have a shot at educating people and getting more and more people around this country active in trying to resolve the problems in these faraway lands.
Jolie's life is one of dramatic contrasts. She moves from humanitarian causes to red carpet movie premieres with ease. Here at London's Leicester Square, she was joined by the ensemble cast of Oliver Stone's film Alexander. Part of this epic movie was shot in Thailand, just before it had been devastated by the Asian tsunami disaster.
We need to stay focused, and we need to stay focused for a very long time, and sometimes things become hot in the news and hot topics, and then months from now, when we need to rebuild the infrastructure and rebuild the communities, everybody's exhausted with the effort. So we need to not let that happen and stay very, very focused on these countries, and at the same time not lose focus on all the other crises going on at the same time in the world.
Co-star Val Kilmer made a sizable donation to the Tsunami Relief Fund and also does work for the UN. Jolie played the role of Alexander's mother and brought her own motherly instincts to the role.
I couldn't have played her if I wasn't a mother. I wouldn't have understood. You know, I read the script and I loved her because I thought if I lived at this time, I would protect my son this way. I would be this strong. And yeah, I never knew love until I had a kid in that way, and that intense passion.
Angelina was now a single mum, after her marriage with Billy Bob ended in divorce. In 2004, Jolie began filming Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Brad Pitt. The film was a box office hit. Rumours spread that Pitt and Jolie were having an affair, but Angelina insisted that because her mother had been hurt by adultery, she would never have an affair with a married man.
What I feel about him, I think he's amazing. I think he's a great actor. He's a wonderful guy. He's funny. He was a joy to come to work with. He's great.
Pitt separated from his wife Jennifer Aniston in 2005, and in time Angelina and Brad would be frequently seen together in public. Jolie turned heads when she arrived at the launch of the Jeremy Gilley film Peace One Day. She and ex-husband Johnny Lee Miller combined forces to bring attention to the film that documents Gilley's campaign to promote the International Day of Peace. Angelina spoke of how the world could benefit from this special day that is celebrated annually on September 21st.
Well, I think in so many ways. I mean, I think what I like about Jeremy is he sees the difference being made already with so many people taking note of the day and reflecting on what it can mean. But also he, like the rest of us, feel that it could be even more, and it could be a day of real action. So the next step is to discuss a possible ceasefire on that day, and what that would mean would be to have access to those people most in need, and to get them food and vaccinations. And
the film exhibits 6 years of Jeremy Gilley's life, persuading leaders of the international community to officially sanction the Day of Peace. He crisscrosses the globe, visiting war-torn areas and meeting everyone from Kofi Annan to the Dalai Lama.
Certainly to educate, anybody should just educate themselves further. I mean, I had really the good fortune of having a friend that brought this to my attention. I think, I took the time to watch it, and that's all it took. So I don't think it takes much effort. I think the more people are aware, the more things people would do, and I think there are a lot of good people ready to take that first step. Maybe haven't yet, but they will.
Jolie's romance with Brad Pitt had been dominating headlines of the tabloids all around the world in 2005. Angelina kept her perspective when asked about the media's obsession with her and Brad's private life.
It's only frustrating that that's what people seem to want to feed the conscience of society, that they want to focus on that. I think that's our media, that's the choice we make, it's a choice you make when you do this interview. And it's unfortunately it's just the way it is. But hopefully, I don't think about it much. I just move on and do the things I think are good things and live as good a life as I can, and hope that comes through.
Her role as Goodwill Ambassador includes the responsibility of advocating the protection of refugees on 5 continents. Angelina met with Pakistan's Prime Minister Shaukat Aziz after visiting one of the camps. Pakistan is one of the world's largest refugee populations, including 1.7 million Afghan refugees.
Pakistan has been hosting, working with UNHCR and speaking on behalf of UNHCR, hosting Afghan refugees for many, many years, and UNHCR has greatly appreciated it, and there's still much that needs to be done, and it's wonderful that these families from Afghanistan still have people looking after them, because they still have many needs.
Angelina's dedication to the needs of refugees were honoured with the 2005 Global Humanitarian Action Award in New York. The United Nations Association of the USA commended Jolie for fulfilling her work as a goodwill ambassador with vigour and valuable insight.
You know, with all of the things that happen in the news, we often get so focused on there's so many big things that are happening, but as they happen, there's so many things that continue on, like Congo, like Uganda, and all the child soldiers. There's so many things we must keep remembering, keep fresh in our minds, because they are certainly not solved.
Jolie accepted the award at a dinner attended by 700 diplomats that included political and business leaders and other dignitaries. To have won the respect of this room of people clearly meant more to Angelina than any Golden Globe or Academy Award.
To receive an award for something that has been the greatest privilege in my life is quite a strange thing, but it means a lot to me. Second to my children, spending time with refugees and other persons of need around the world has been the greatest gift. It's been the greatest life lesson I could ever receive. After my first trip to a refugee camp, I made a promise that I would try to help others to understand everything that I was fortunate enough to witness. And so that I stand here today makes me feel that in some way I'm living up to that promise. So I thank you very much. I've had the great honor of working alongside the UN Refugee Agency for the last 4 years. And in any UNHCR office, in any corner of the globe, you will find an amazing mix of very hardworking and often very, very tired people. And what is beautiful to me is that the men and the women are always a mix of nationalities. They're Guatemalan, Japanese, Scottish, American, English, African. And they have all come together with one common goal: to help other people. That's the UN at its best, and it's amazing.
Jolie attended UNHCR headquarters in Geneva to participate in 2 days of intensive briefings on a variety of refugee-related issues. Armed with the latest knowledge, she returned to the field, making her third trip to Pakistan. This mission was to lend support to the agency's emergency operations that were assisting the victims of the 2005 Kashmir earthquake. The Goodwill Ambassador saw firsthand the impact of the natural disaster that had killed 86,000 people and left over 3 million homeless. Tragically, about 11,000 children were left orphaned. She heard from survivors about the horror of that day and their fears for the future. One of their greatest concerns was the impending winter. In the mountains of northern Pakistan, survivors had taken shelter in camps erected by the UNHCR and the Pakistan Army. Jolie gained a clearer perspective of the devastation whilst touring the region by helicopter. It was from the air she saw mile after mile of destroyed houses. Like her experience in Darfur, Angelina was dismayed at the humanitarian crisis that confronted her.
Nobody sitting at home has any idea what this really looks like, and it is unbelievable, and it is just, we were flying in a helicopter to Sarah, and just for 20 minutes flying just one house after another, just as if just broken, just nothing standing. And
the earthquake's damage to infrastructure clearly moved Angelina, but the human suffering cut even deeper. She paid a visit to a hospital that was treating over 100 injured children. Here she learnt the hospital urgently needed special orthopaedic beds for the survivors with spinal injuries. Jolie, along with Brad Pitt, who accompanied her to Pakistan, responded in kind. The couple donated 40 of the needed beds, valued at over $100,000. Aid donors had promised Pakistan about $6 billion in help, but with winter approaching, Jolie insisted that the survivors needed aid now.
It is important to stress that the support obviously needs to continue to come, and the pledges that were made need to materialize soon. Because from what I'm understanding, there are so many wonderful pledges of money that could come in the next few years. But this winter is in the next few weeks, and so many people are in danger of possibly freezing to death.
On the last day of Brad and Angelina's visit to the quake zone, they helped an airlift mission distribute food rations to a cut-off village 6,000 feet above sea level. So touched by the crisis, Angelina still wanted to assist more. At a news conference, she pledged that she would continue to use her work in the movie industry to help Pakistan.
To certainly find ways to raise funds or help to encourage people, I will do. I don't know how much a specific film could do that, but through film work, I have tried to whether it be benefit premieres or things like that, to try to use film work or use the money I've made on film to do good things. So I will continue to do that.
Angelina was true to her word. In 2009, the Jolie-Pitt Foundation donated $1 million to help displaced families in Pakistan. She returned in 2010 to draw world attention towards the plight of 21 million people affected by the country's worst ever floods. Jolie has personally donated $100,000 towards the Pakistan Flood Relief Fund. A little closer to home, Jolie and Pitt flew into Haiti at the invitation of Wyclef Jean, a member of the acclaimed hip-hop group, the Fugees. In 2005, Jean founded the Yali Haiti charity. Yali has put nearly 10,000 children into schools and provides food and jobs to thousands. The couple had recently announced that they were expecting a baby, and Angelina was visually pregnant as she watched the students dance and recite poetry. The charity also supports the promotion of rap music as a form of expression. Angelina committed to lend her support to the foundation that is building global awareness for Haiti while helping to transform the country.
Given just a little chance and given a little help, that this is going to be an amazing country, as it should be and as it once was.
It was reported after her visit to Haiti that People magazine paid $400,000 for the rights to publish photos of Angelina pregnant. All proceeds went to the Yali Haiti charity. Jolie's next priority was a family one. She applied to alter her adopted children's names to state that Brad Pitt is their intended adoptive father.
The only statement is we can just confirm that the court has granted Miss Jolie's name change petition to change Zahara and Maddox's name to Zahara Jolie-Pitt and Maddox Jolie-Pitt.
So the introduction will be held by Peter Brad.
Just 1 week later, Angelina travelled to Switzerland to speak at the World Economic Forum. Here, some of the most prominent minds on the planet brainstorm the key issues facing the globe. Jolie spoke about the issue of human rights being reduced to charity.
And we all do look at this as, which is I think the message of this panel, whether it's charity or is it our right. And the reality is, for many years I thought how nice so many people are helping with all these things. You know, the good people are doing a lot of nice things for people, for these desperate families. And then it was brought to my attention that there is this document, the Declaration of Human Rights. And what it says is that these are not things that nice charities do for poor people, but that these are the law. It's the law. Children should have an education. People should have the right to seek asylum. If they are in danger, they should have a right to protect their families. This is the law of the land.
Brad, Angelina, congratulations. You guys be great parents. May the kid have a long and wonderful life.
Angelina gave birth to her first child, Shiloh Novell Jolie-Pitt, on May 27, 2006, in Namibia. The couple sold the rights of the baby photos for over $7.5 million, with all profits donated to charity. Now a father, Brad founded the Make It Right Foundation. Its purpose is to help the rebuilding efforts in New Orleans that was devastated by Hurricane Katrina. Pitt committed $5 million to the foundation and received an award from the US Green Building Council. The project involves 13 architectural firms and environmental organisation Global Green USA. It has also helped rebuild a sense of community with several of the companies donating their services. The first 6 homes were completed in 2008.
Well, I don't think just celebrities, I think it's just people. I mean, we're just talking about people helping people, and it's that simple, and I see it on the ground as I walk around here. There's some great organizations up and running, and Architecture for Humanity, Habitat for Humanity, I believe, and that are doing some great things, so it's just pitching in. And from September was just witnessing the devastation and feeling like, I guess, the frustration that you couldn't, very little was being done and you wanted to help out, and that we could do better. Katrina was certainly an indictment that we could do better.
Pitt met with President Barack Obama in 2009 to promote his concept of green housing as a national model. Angelina travelled through a sandstorm to revisit impoverished Chad, almost 3 years after her initial mission there. She was warmly greeted at one of the refugee camps and paid a visit to a primary school. The students sang as the desert wind whipped against the plastic sheeting that formed the classroom. Jolie listened to children's tales of daily life and their hopes of one day returning to their homes in Darfur. The encroaching sandstorms make their hard lives even tougher, with many of the tents and mud brick houses partially or completely buried. Jolie visited a man-made reservoir that feeds the camps with water, but it was almost empty due to disappointing rains. She also engaged with a group of refugee women that spoke of their desire for income-generating activities. Angelina's next priority was to travel to Vietnam to seek permission to adopt a 3.5-year-old boy. Normally, adoptions of children from Vietnam take around 6 months, but the process was sped up because the boy was an older child. The adoption application was filed solely by Angelina because Vietnamese law does not allow unmarried couples to adopt children.
Cô ta đến trung tâm hồi tháng 10. Đó, và lúc đó hoàn toàn không có một cái ý gì là xin con nuôi hết. Đó, mà theo tôi biết đó, là cô chỉ mới nộp hồ sơ cho Bộ Tư pháp hồi tháng 1. Đó, và từ đó đến nay là cô ta cũng chưa ghé trung tâm. Như vậy là cô ta cũng không có chọn lựa là đứa bé nào. Mà do cái giới thiệu ngẫu nhiên là của trung tâm thôi, giống như một trường hợp khác.
Despite Jolie's wealth and celebrity status, her application didn't receive any special treatment.
Em bé này là trẻ sơ sinh, bị mẹ bỏ rơi tại bệnh viện. Thì công an đã lập hồ sơ xác định đó là trẻ bỏ rơi và đã giao cho trung tâm từ lúc mới đẻ. Và trong thời gian đó trung tâm cũng đã để mà thông báo tìm người mẹ, nhưng mà kết quả hiện nay là người mẹ đã bỏ đứa bé. Thì về luật pháp Việt Nam thì đứa bé đó được giới thiệu là con nuôi. Còn bé này thì cái độ tuổi của nó là khoảng trên 3 tuổi.
Angelina was now the proud mother of Pax, T and Jolie, but she was not about to slow down helping the other children of the world. the Jolie-Pitt Foundation donated $1 million to the Global Action for Children organisation. As an honorary board chairperson, she encouraged the United States and other G8 countries to increase funding for disease and poverty-stricken children.
And I am no policy expert, as you all know, and I will not be pretending to be one here today. I am here simply to ask you to think about orphan children not as a burden, but as a great opportunity. Their education and their well-being is an investment in our future.
Angelina took on one of the most challenging roles in the film A Mighty Heart. She plays the wife of Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl, who was kidnapped and beheaded by Islamic militants in 2002.
For many reasons. I think, like most people, I remember when this happened, and I remember watching TV, and I remember watching Marianne's interviews. Just as a civilian citizen of the world, you know, regular woman just watching at home, I was aware that she was pregnant. I remembered wondering how she was feeling. I think we all were expecting Danny to come home. So just as a viewer, I remember this time, and then since then I'd read her book and I've met her, and she's just a remarkable woman and a friend now, and I really do believe in so much of what she represents and stands for, and the way she handles herself, and so all of that comes together in something that we all care very much about.
Jolie's performance was widely touted by critics as her finest artistic achievement to date. Brad was a producer of the film that was mostly shot in Pakistan. Her vast personal experiences in that country helped her appreciate the freedom that most of us take for granted.
No, because I just think there's so many people that don't even have the option of leaving those areas. I can come into those areas and I can get back on a plane and I can leave and I have a passport and I have a safe home to go to. But I always remember that there are so many people that just simply do not have that option, and so it seems a duty to at least participate in some way to help make it better for those who don't have that option.
What is it that drives you, do you think, to do that kind of work?
I just had the great fortune of traveling the world early on in my life and meeting amazing people who are in these situations, and people who have survived conflict and refugees, and I feel honored to know them, and I've learned so much, and so I am privileged to be able to do that work.
Back in Los Angeles, Angelina attended the premiere of God Grew Tired of Us, narrated by Nicole Kidman. Again, Brad held a producer role in the documentary that chronicles the lives of 3 Sudanese boys adjusting to their new life in America.
There's so much hate these days. There's so much discomfort with people from other countries that we don't know and people that are foreign to us. And I think to remind everybody to be open to why people flee, why people cross the border. It's not just for economic reasons. Some people are really running for their lives and have been through horrific things and are really willing to work hard in a new country and try to just be good citizens and have a good life. And so this film certainly helps to give that message.
I certainly believe that, first of all, that one side doesn't cancel out the other, or one issue doesn't cancel out the other. And we need to address our issues at home, and no one's saying we shouldn't. But we need to erase this idea that they're over there and that they're not, that they're somehow different than us.
Having spent time in the war-ravaged country of Sudan, Jolie and Pitt felt strongly about sharing this story with the world. Angelina's next formal engagement was at the Clinton Global Initiative Conference in New York. This forum brings together global leaders to address world problems such as climate change, poverty, health and education. Jolie announced a new education partnership between UNICEF and several corporations.
In the last couple of weeks, we've been able to inspire this brand new partnership that we're very excited about between UNICEF, Microsoft, Hewlett-Packard, and IRC to provide distance learning for displaced children, including children affected by Iraqi conflict and the Palestinian children in the occupied territories. But to put things in perspective and maybe help to understand why we maybe need to adjust the way we're doing things in the world. The conflict in Iraq has displaced over 4 million people. There is an appeal from UNICEF and UNHCR to address the education needs of many of these children. The entire appeal equals about 8 hours of current spending in Iraq.
Angelina returned to California with Brad to receive the Santa Barbara International Film Festival's Performance of the Year Award. She was honoured for her portrayal of Marianne Pearl in the film A Mighty Heart. It was just one of numerous awards Jolie received for her stunning performance. She took centre stage and shared with the audience her priorities and what really drives her.
Yeah. I mean, I like being a mom.
Yeah.
And I think that's my big passion, being with my family. But certainly, you know, as we talked about earlier, just feeling of use and being a part of the world. And I had the great fortune of starting to travel about 7 years ago now with UNHCR to work with refugees, and they are just the most amazing people I've ever met. They've survived so much, and they're very strong, and they're very funny, and they've taught me so much about family and life and culture and survival, and so it's been a privilege to be able to spend years of my life traveling and visiting with them. And
Jolie arrived at the 2008 Cannes Film Festival looking decidedly pregnant. Angelina was glowing with Jack Black and Dustin Hoffman by her side. They were there to promote their new animated movie, Kung Fu Panda, but the world's media attention was squarely focused on Angelina and her tummy.
I heard it's 2 babies coming up. Everybody wants to know here, so can you confirm that?
Jack, would you like to
It's actually triplets, and they are due August 29th. Is that okay?
Yes, they are twins. Thank you.
The heavily pregnant mother had a busy schedule in Cannes. She also hit the red carpet with Brad to promote the Clint Eastwood film Changeling. The film's screening at the festival was met with critical acclaim, and Jolie was later nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role at the 2009 Academy Awards. After the festival, the happy couple went to the seafront Lenville Hospital in Nice in the south of France. Jolie checked into its Santa Maria maternity clinic to be kept under doctor's observation leading up to the birth. The couple had recently taken up residence at the Miraval Estate Villa in the south of France. By basing themselves in France, they could take advantage of the strict privacy laws there. This ensured the paparazzi wouldn't be able to ruin the deals they'd made for the exclusive photos of the twins. On July 12, 2008, the Mayor of Nice presented journalists with the newborns' birth certificates, but the media wanted more.
I understand that they've gone to the south of France, Brad and Angelina, for the birth of the babies. And of course France has very, very strict privacy laws, which gives them far greater chance of controlling everything and making sure that no one gets some sneaky photos. But of course the stakes are high. I mean, this is probably going to be the most expensive set of baby pictures in history. And figures that are being bandied about go from 5 to 10 million pounds.
Ultimately, rights for the first photos of son Knox and daughter Vivian were jointly sold to People and Hello magazines. The unprecedented sum of $14 million was used to fund the Maddox Jolie-Pitt Foundation. The now mother of 6 continued to work tirelessly for humanitarian causes. She took a leading role to promote the 2009 World Refugee Day at the National Geographic Society in Washington, D.C.
Refugees are not numbers. They're not even just refugees. They are mothers and daughters and fathers and sons. They are farmers, teachers, doctors, engineers. They're individuals, all. And most of all, they are survivors. The threat of climate change, the competition for resources, and ever-growing global inequality have created deepening, intractable conflicts. Whether it be Darfur, Myanmar, or the Swat Valley, or some as yet unknown crisis, Mass migrations will be a feature of our future, and we must adjust to this looming reality. Pakistan, a country now facing a crisis with over 2 million of its own people displaced, is still hosting 1.7 million Afghans and has hosted millions of Afghan families for nearly 30 years.
Angelina was moved to tears as she listened to Rose Mapendo, who spoke about protecting her 9 children while enduring 16 months in a Congo concentration camp. She now travels the world as a messenger of peace and forgiveness and was named the Humanitarian of the Year in 2009. Angelina is a remarkably special individual. Jolie's acting career has also flourished over the past decade. She has become one of the few female Hollywood stars that can carry a film single-handedly. What makes Angelina different to others in the showbiz limelight is that she is genuine. She's the real deal. Her unconditional love for others sets her apart in the tabloids. She once was quoted as saying, "It was only when I came out of my shell and started taking care of others that I found the real Angelina." The real Angelina, first and foremost, is a loving partner and mother to her incredible, unique family. This woman on a mission was named the most powerful celebrity in the world by Forbes magazine in 2009. And she generously donates 1/3 of her income to charity. Her humility and loving nature enables her to emotionally connect with the world's most disadvantaged people and then advocate for them on the world stage.
After finding myself returning to countries who, after a brief period of peace, are again at war, that there is no enduring peace without justice.
Her mission is to simply obtain justice for the world's most vulnerable people. Her work not only brings relief to their suffering, but also a greater awareness of their courage. An estimated 80% of refugees are women and children. Angelina knows only too well that it is these women who often carry the heaviest burden of survival for themselves and their families. Angelina Jolie is truly making the world a better place for all.